2, an open meeting. And the first item on our agenda is to review the Leicester Regional Public Health Coalition permitting and inspectional updates. This is the report from the month of December. You have copies in front of you. So we had 4 permits, 4 septic installers. There were 2 also pending. Not unusual. There's a lot of activity at the end of the year for the new year. Haulers, we had 4 issued with 3 pending. That would be Jeff Culberson Excavating, Waste Management, Republic Services, Linton Septic Incorporated, Babes Lawn Care Incorporated, Dumont Septic Pumping, and Swimming Perfume Sewer Service. We had no tobacco permits, which is going to be on our agenda later on. Back to that. We had 1 percolation application for 189 Fisdale Road. We had 3 food establishments, which is the Brookfield Elementary School, Dollar General, and Oakham Farm Estate. There were no mobile food trucks, no temporary food permits issued. There was 1 well permit pending for 144 Rice Corner Road, and 1 pending mobile home park. So that was for the month of December. Any questions or? No? Can we move on? Second topic is Massachusetts Health Officers Association Tobacco Control Meeting with the Leicester Regional Coalition related to tobacco control regulations and the Massachusetts Department of Public Health support for the coalition. So we had a meeting, the advisory board had a meeting with Sarah McColgan from the MHOA regarding the Massachusetts tobacco control regulations. MHOA had expanded a grant with the Department of Public Health to support regional shared service arrangements, so that includes us. They sent out a survey back in the fall. It didn't get good traction because it's something to do with Leicester because of the email got bounced back, and I guess the folks there didn't see it. So therefore, the coordinators then filled out the survey, and MHOA was reaching out to each town individually to ask for their tobacco needs. Some of the requirements before entering any towns, we need to have a signed MOU. This will cover the town and the MHOA only. They would need a list of tobacco vendors for 2025, a link or PDF version to current tobacco regulations, if applicable, and the Board of Health would need to appoint MHOA as an agent for their board. And the purpose for this is to do inspections for tobacco at each premise that sells tobacco. Check their permitting. They go in, they have an underage buyer attempt to buy, and if they're successful, then there's an issue there. They also check all the products and make sure that they're not selling any products that are now deemed to be unlawful to sell in Massachusetts. So that's something they do, and I know our agents are pretty busy, so it's a nice added benefit to have their assistance with tobacco control monitoring. State revised regulations back in 2019, and a lot of towns have not updated their local health regulations, and of course Brookfield didn't have one, so we're starting from scratch. So they can help also with training to conduct retail tobacco inspections. They do a training to conduct youth access compliance checks. So in addition to doing those compliance checks, they train agents in doing that. They do technical assistance with merchant education. Obviously, our mantra is to educate before enforcement. So hopefully a little education will go a long way for anyone who's not in compliance. And the health department doesn't have the capacity to conduct retail inspections and would like that service provided. So that was coming from Leicester. So they don't have a lot of bandwidth to conduct tobacco inspections. And so this is a welcome assistance in their eyes. So, so they attended. They gave us this update. I think it would be worthwhile for our town for this board to make a motion to designate MHOA as an agent for the town so they can conduct this activity on our behalf, and also ask for their assistance with developing a
Board bill?
yeah, with developing local regulation. Nope.
I'll make a motion.
Hold on, I'm not done talking, so, sorry, it's done. Your name and address, can you?
Eric Pearson.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Pearson, 32 River Street.
You said Eric? Eric? Yeah, Eric. Pierce.
All right. And so, on another topic for tonight's meeting, you'll see this template, which is something they had just actually revised and issued on January 6th. So that template exists, and they can assist us with the review of that and implementation. So on that note, so do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we use MHOA as an agent for.
Can we do it like carefully? Can we delegate MHOA as an agent?
Delegate them
Yep.
as an agent for our board.
I hear a second.
One second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the third item on the agenda is to review the December 18th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 18th.
Here's a second.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the next topic is the templates. The topic is discuss the review and enacting of the MHOA model template for local regulation of tobacco. This was updated on January 6th to reflect the latest regulations at the state level. I sent this preemptively over to the town administrator to request KP Law's review so that we could get input from them. And so the purpose of tonight's meeting is just to provide it to the board, give you some time to review it, and at our next meeting, and they are set by the state, so we have no control over that. That is a state fine.
So does this mean that no current tobacco retailers in town are permitted?
So like I said, right now, we're a couple weeks into January, and we don't have any,
Application or
we have not seen those businesses apply as of yet.
Okay.
Now, historically, January is kind of a month where, you know, you give a little bit of leeway with permitting.
Okay.
Like to try to not have that happen so much, but what, when I was going through and looking at the year-end data, not being involved in the permitting process, not signing off on permits, and not seeing that, you know, we report out month to month, but when you look collectively over the year, it dawned on me that only 2 of the 4 previous known places had applied. Now, I didn't go and look to see if they was like stopped selling or not, so I don't know. I'm not going to speak to that, but I did let the agent know that, you know, we historically had 4 businesses in town with tobacco permits, and so we need to reach out to them immediately to get them to be, you know, up with compliance. You know, whether this is going to help that problem or not, you know, remains to be seen, but so it's useful. I mean, it helps outline what the law is, kind of consolidates it into a single place for people in town, you know, to be familiar, and the businesses that do business here that want to sell tobacco will be aware of the most recent, and knowing some of this flexibility in the language, whether we want to, you know, choose the yellow or choose the green, you know, will be important for us in an enforcement matter, you know. So that's that. I don't know if there's any other comments. Do you?
You said you'll upload these?
Yeah. It's just one document, but
It's funny how the first page says 0. It's page 0.
yeah, because it's kind of a checklist kind of for policy decisions. It's just a guide. These are some of the things that are up to us to decide, right? So I think we should review them and come back and kind of have this discussion at our next meeting. But for instance, for those in the audience, you know, there's options. If we want to say no permit renewal if outstanding fines exist, you can no permit renewal if 3 sales to persons under 21, you know, you can then, you know, revoke a license. You can say there's no permits within X number of feet of a school. You can say no permits within X number of feet of an existing retailer for sale, but there's also just a lot of households that, you know, are along that stretch. It doesn't cover the whole town. You'll need pump stations. You'll need millions of dollars. You know, you need to, like, hopefully find and I can't see it happening without some kind of state grant funding to do it, you know, and I feel like
I'm not,
if that's,
I can't get it.
if the town can obtain like grant money to do it,
Yeah,
like,
I
I feel
like
like that's
that
an,
plan
that's
you
a,
said.
you know, go
Is there a
ahead.
timeline?
Huh?
Is there a timeline that we have to
No, we have
decide by?
no, we don't have a timeline.
Because it's tying in with North Brookfield. Wasn't North Brookfield here with the
I
selectmen?
think there is a timeline, it's something
having-
about every 5 years or something, right?
I don't know, it wasn't, that information wasn't
Or
provided
there's
to me.
5 years, there is a time frame.
I think in North Brookfield, were they redoing theirs, or they were?
They're just not getting the use, or I actually don't know if they even have really the capacity. I think there was discussion, and
Yeah.
they're hoping other towns will tie in, because they spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that they
They were
would get
relying
like
on-
other
Oh,
towns
no,
to
it has
help
to do
tie
with the
in.
paving or something.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's not,
No, you
the-
can,
I don't wanna go into like all the
So-
details of
No,
what
that's
might.
fine, but
but-
if
I'm just
you
curious,
want
yeah, what-
to-
How much time? Like, I don't know.
I was not told there's a timeline for us to decide. I think Ann Goby will meet with like Ron like somewhere in the next month. And
I'd be
he'll
open to
research if
hearing
there's anything further,
some
and we can kind of come back to it again if there is, you know, but I think at this point, I'm just informing you
Yeah.
of the conversation. It wasn't something that I initiated with the select
No.
board. I was just happened to be there. He asked me, and I kind of forgot to put it on the agenda back in the end of the year, so just wanted to make sure I kind of, we don't need to take any action, I'm just,
Yeah,
Okay.
so let's just wait and see what he says.
yeah, all right, so we'll just move this topic, and then we'll find out further from Ron
Yeah.
if there are options that would be more palatable
Yeah.
financially. Yeah, okay.
Sounds good.
All right. The next topic is the 2025 fee schedule and permit application form updates. This is the creation of a marijuana review plan application document and a fee schedule for marijuana establishments. So we have that in front of you. This particular document I got from the new director at the Leicester Coalition. She worked in both like Natick and Framingham and sent me theirs because they had a pretty good application form. It's pretty basic. I brought it to the board last month and said, you know, take a look and let me know your thoughts. I think the request was to see if, you know, there were any, you know, the fees, if they seemed in line with other towns. I was kind of having a hard time tracking down like what those are in the immediate area. So just bringing it forward. So we have 2 regulations in town, and they require, the regulation requires that marijuana establishments be permitted, and so this is to aid that business in applying for a permit. It will outline what they need. They kind of check off what type of business they're trying to open, and give their information, and this is basically done with the health agent. So we're a legislative board, so we're not the ones who are going through reviewing this and approving. You know, they work with the health agent, just like any restaurant would, you know, when they're opening a restaurant or, you know, some kind of business like that. So same kind of thing. So it's not a super complicated form. It's just asking certain questions, really kind of getting into hours of operation, where they're located, if they're going to do manufacturing, you know, if they're going to do food, edibles, you know, that kind of thing that would then trigger a different type of inspection requirement. And then sort of a checklist at the end of various documents that they would need, the health agent would need to process that. So if you're opening a restaurant in town, you need your serve safe, you need your allergy awareness training, you need your, your workers' comp insurance document, you need, various documents that you need to fill out with the application form. This is no different. So this, same workers' compensation affidavit, security plan, these are things they have to do generally anyway for the planning board. So it's kind of like sharing the documents is mostly going to be what they do. Some types of businesses may need to do, have permits with Mass DEP, wastewater, stormwater management plans, stormwater maintenance or operation plans, or long-term pollution prevention plan, photometric plans, or odor mitigation plans, things like that. So it's asking for kind of copies of that so that we have those things on file. And then for the Board of Health use only, but in general, we're not the ones who go through and review and approve, although, we are the board. We do delegate this to our health agent to do on our behalf, and there's a very good reason for doing that, because if there's ever enforcement required, they may have to come before the board, and we don't want to make ourselves biased to any involvement in the permitting process, right? So we treat it the same way we treated any other business. And so I don't know if we're ready to approve this form yet or not. I did, I had it last month. It was new, fresh in your eyes, so I'm bringing it back again to see if there's been any.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. The fees here, what we could do, they should be on the form. I still feel like we need a little more work just to verify some of these numbers. They don't seem outrageous. I mean, the medical one is kind of way up there, but that's a lot, though. I'll reach out to Michelle, since she has familiarity with this stuff, and see, what's involved, because it may just be more effort involved in, a registered marijuana medical dispensary than obviously for like a cultivator.
Well, that's the only one that said initial operating permit. The others just annual, so I'm wondering if it's just.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's a question. We'll research that. Most of them are about the same, and some of the initial reviews are less. I would expect the initial review to be more, so I'm kind of have that question myself for them. Also, where this originated from is kind of, a little bit more eastward towards Boston, and, I don't know if that makes a huge difference, so I really wanted to find out what other towns are charging. Leicester didn't actually give me anything specific to Leicester, which is surprising, because they have a business there, I think the first. Charlton was a little hard to kind of dig through because they manage it differently. They kind of had created a committee with multiple boards having representation, so everything's a little, but they did a very nice job at posting their documents on their website, so it's kind of nice to kind of go through, like, these are the type of plans, what you're, you'd be looking for, what does a photometric plan look like, things like that. So that was useful. So I think, for me, I feel like we still need to kind of further investigate the pricing. But is there anything else on the application that you think is missing, or language questions, or something like that? One of the things, they have to just acknowledge that they've received, so we have to provide the regulations to them, and they have to acknowledge that they've received them. And other than that, it's mostly just working with the board agent. So. Give you 4 minutes. the last 2 pages are just the standard states, workman's comp form. We just attach it usually to these things so that it's easy for them to fill it out. Did you have any other comments on the form?
No, I didn't even have a chance to look into
Okay.
other towns, so I didn't
So
do that.
we'll just continue this to the next meeting then. Do I hear a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion that we continue at the next meeting.
Okay.
A second.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. You know, I'm gonna post it online, so I will post it on in the supporting documents on the meeting. Hang out afterwards and I will make a copy for you.
I
Okay.
can run and make a copy.
It's double-sided.
Sure.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want a copy?
All right. So that's that topic. And then the item 7 is the fiscal year 26 Board of Health budget review discussion. So this is like what happens every January. We start talking about the budget. So I put together a little visual for you, showing our accounts, showing what the fiscal, oh, did I say 26? I did.
You did?
I made an error in the agenda. So,
It's for 25.
oh, are we in 25 right
Yeah,
now?
we're in
Oh, so it is for
25 now.
26. No, I'm correct.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. So fiscal year 26. Okay, so which starts in the summer. Sorry. All right. It's my document here that my header here, my little draft document that I put 25. Sorry, because I used last year's to start this one. Okay, so just ignore the number 25, make that 26, and then over here fiscal year 25 allocation. Okay, so this is just a little spec sheet for us. So the things we have are Board of Health salary, clerk wages, health agent, animal inspector salary, Board of Health expenses, transfer station wages, well tests, and transfer station expenses. Those are our main accounts. We also have a revolving account, but that is funded through fees. So going through the Board of Health salary, all I did is kept it the same. It's our stipend, and I don't know about you. I don't know that trying to just be fiscally conscious, just to kind of keep it flat. The clerk wages, what I calculated was a COLA of 3%. I don't know what the town's going to do, so at some point tonight, I'd like to maybe ask for a motion to agree that we would just use whatever the town decides to use as a standard of living increase for town employees, and just across the board, you know, apply the same percentage so that it's just an easy math calculation. We can get to that. The health agent I have zeroed out because, so last year we got a revolving account started to fund, and that's funded by our permit fees.
Thought we had to have a little, no?
We have to have it. We have to have
Yeah.
funding for a health agent, even though we use lesser agents and we don't pay the agent because it comes out of the grant. The grant requires us to have a backup agent funding
So,
in case something happens to the whole thing and we don't have the coalition all of a sudden,
Right.
then we have to have somebody to be able to do this work. And so last year we kept $3,000 in our budget, and we haven't had to touch it this year, but we had no balance in the revolving account because it was a new account. So throughout last,
You lost it?
no, we didn't, no, let me finish. I'm trying to explain the math. So the funding of this account has been ongoing since last year for the permit.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have money in the account to cover, so we don't need to fund this line anymore of a health agent, because we have a revolving account that goes up to $20,000
Okay.
that's funded, and we have over $3,000 in it now. So we should be okay at the end of this year to just give back this to the town.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense to you?
Sort of.
Okay, do you know what a revolving account is? So we have an account, special account, just for, like, it's dedicated money. So anybody who applies for a permit, they pay a fee, right? And that money is now put into that revolving account. It used to go in the general fund.
Okay.
Like through this whole grant process with the state requirement, the state was like, oh, all these things are going into general fund, you should put them in a revolving account.
Gotcha.
So we have it in a revolving account, which got approved at our last town meeting.
Yeah.
And so since July 1st, all our permit income is going into this revolving account, and it's building, and it can build up to like $20,000. Anything over $20,000, that's going back into the general fund. But that money helps pay for an engineer if we need it, health agent, that kind of stuff. Previous to that, we had a line item here for a health agent, and we had to ask for budget every year for this individual who we may or may not spend that money because, we're using Lester so heavily. We didn't spend it last year. We didn't actually have it last year. That was one of the problems with the grant, that the state kind of came in and said, no, you have to budget this. So last year we had budgeted $3,000 because we needed to have some funding for a health agent in the event that we needed a backup. So that was a requirement of us. But now that we have money in this revolving account for the next year's budget, we don't need to keep this line item anymore.
Gotcha.
We can tell the town, zip, nothing. So that gives money back. So now permitting and inspecting is self-sustaining through permit fees, and it's not coming out of a budget that's coming out of people's property taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's that one. Animal inspector, I just kept their stipend the same as with ours. You can weigh in if you want. Board of Health expenses, I also kept that the same because we seem to be tracking pretty close. And I don't foresee a lot of big things through the end of the year, so I felt like keeping that also flat would be welcomed by the town taxpayers. Transfer station wages, same COLA adjustment I made here, but again, I'm going to ask for a motion to just either say 3% or use whatever the select board agrees to use across town employees, because the math is easier. Well tests, we're already contracted for the next couple of years with the well company at the same rate, so there's no need to adjust that dollar. They've already agreed to their pricing, so I'm keeping that flat as well. And then transfer station expenses, we're tracking pretty good with the transfer station expenses, so I felt like keeping that flat. We keep trying to do things to kind of save money and make it more, easier, and we've gotten some grant money to help with that. Helps us to pay for the bags that people have to buy. We have to do a big order of those bags every year. It's a few $1,000s, and we use that grant money usually for that purchase. We haven't had to raise the cost of a sticker in many years, and so far we don't seem to have to do that. We're getting money now from recycling instead of just having someone that comes and takes it and ends up selling it. You know, we're getting paid for that. We're getting paid for our clothing recycling. And, you know, we had our new contracts with like a seller, you know, through the state budgeting. So all in all, I think from what I can see in tracking the budget that we've expensed so far, that we're in good shape as far as the transfer station expenses. We have some things to do with the transfer station. We need to, you know, replace a couple of the shed roofs. We have to get some more signage yet. I know, don't even get me going, but we're not here to discuss that tonight, please. But we have some things we have to do with the transfer station. So there is, I think we have enough budget left this year to be able to get most of that work done. One of the reasons why I feel pretty confident there, we had money allocated for the clearing of the land, and that we thought that was going to be quite a bit of, you know, money once upon a time. And then we were able to get a better understanding of the geographical features that we were dealing with, and where the landfill cover ended. So we knew, like, as of this past summer, you know, that we didn't have to worry about equipment and things like that. So that enabled us to get a more lower bid from somebody who, you know, could go in there with typical machinery. And the second thing was we were able to get that funded through the ARPA funds, as you recall from prior meeting. So because of that, you know, that money is now not going to be spent this year, but we do have some work to do with, you know, updating some things at the landfill and the transfer station in terms of sheds and just making it. We have to get a new like electric pole and stuff like that. So we're just going to plan for that in the budget for next year. So keeping it flat kind of keeps that that money available for any of that work.
Okay.
And we'll get as much done this year as possible. So I feel confident with the numbers. We've been tracking it pretty closely, and a lot of people are taking advantage of the transfer station, so it's pretty good. So input, questions, thoughts?
No, it's good.
All right, so two things. Do I hear a motion that we use 3% for whatever the select or advisory committee, I don't, whatever the town has decided as a COLA for the town employees?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we
Use
go with whatever the town uses for the
for COLA, cost of living.
Okay.
And or 3%,
Or 3%.
whichever. Okay. Do I hear a second?
Oh, second.
Any further discussion?
How are we gonna decide which? Do we pick what's higher?
All right, so let's.
I say we just go with the town.
Okay, we'll put forward 3%, but with the caveat that we use whatever the town decides. So if they said 4%, I don't want to. I don't want to.
I don't. With that, right?
Right. Like, so we want to go with whatever the town decides. But I have to put forward a number, so we're going to put forward 3%.
Got you. So we're gonna say 3%, but then choose what the town uses for COLA.
Yeah. So do we need to formulate that motion again, or?
No, that's good.
It's good, it's still good, okay. All right, All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then the second motion needed is just to approve the budget for fiscal year 26 to put forward to the advisory committee.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 26 budget for the advisory committee.
To send to advisory.
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then the last item on the agenda is to review the report of the Board of Health. We have an annual town report, and all of the boards provide a summary for their section. So this is pretty standard, and I drafted it. So if you want to take a look at it, it's slightly longer than it has been in the past, but we had a couple of things to add in there. Kind of walk you through a summary of it, but historically there's been no explanation of what the Board of Health is charged to do, so I have a brief paragraph on that, and that the sort of like the role of the Board of Health, because we're the health policy making arm for the town. We're not necessarily the, the agents itself. We have agents. We wanted to just acknowledge who was elected, so Kim was elected, and then we just give note to who our clerk is, and we talk about the transfer station. Obviously it's a big part, so we just kind of go through the same language, letting people know when it's open, what it costs, and then just to give thank you to the workers there, because they're always there through every bit of weather. They never not show up every Saturday, and so we just want to give a little shout out to Jim and Steve and George for the work that they do. We also wanted to thank the highway department, because they come in and they kind of tamper down the dumpsters to help lessen the cost of shipping out of material. And I wanted to give special thanks to Lindsay Rockwood, because she had helped us last year with the waste management and recycling vendor selection and contracting process using Combis, the state contracting system. So she kind of did all that. So I feel like that was in order to give her a little nod there. The landfill cap tests, kind of had to mention the clearing of the brush, the fact that we did a third-party inspection and had a state inspection, and then who's contracted to do that testing. Just thanking the select board for approving the allocation of the ARPA funds so we could finally get that cleared. I did, it's just a, and then the Leicester Regional Public Health Coalition, brief summary on, what it is and its aim. And then just talking about, I think that the biggest thing is signing the new IMA, and then the hiring of the regional health director, so that effort. And then I gave a little blurb about her, so the residents would know a little bit about her. The Maven, we're required to report out the communicable disease occurrences, and so we just list what was reported out in Maven. Permits, we just give the total numbers of our permits, as you can see. We go through installers and sanitary code inspections and Title V inspections and well permits, and then we just added local health regulations, because now we have a little section to include that we enacted those. And then we just sign it, like respectfully from. So that's just a summary of it, for the sake of those attending. And let me know once you're done reviewing, if you have any comments or edits to make.
I like the shout outs, I think that's nice. I think it's well deserved.
When you're done, anyone who wants to make a motion to approve the report, I'll submit it to the town administrator.
I make a motion to approve the report of the Board of Health 2024.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did I hear you?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, thank you. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn at 7:04.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Adjourned.